Studios, and this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. You know, I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Let me entertain you. Are you not entertained? Make your next thing a big one. This week's shows, well, let's see, it's Thursday. And right now at the Cedar Lounge, B-Rock is rocking the house. The Thursday night karaoke show at the Cedar Lounge Bar and Grill in Morrilton, Arkansas. Video dance party, karaoke jam. I got my guest DJ, B-Rock, and he is good. Man, I'm already getting good notes saying, oh, yeah, you know, if there for some reason you cannot make it, send B-Rock. No problem. Will do. He's my ace. Tomorrow night, Friday night, I will be at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, my usual Friday night gig. You can find me there probably around 50 weeks out of the year, 50 Fridays out of the year, I will be at the Rab. There's only a couple times every year, and it's been quite a few years that I haven't been able to make it on a Friday night. So yes, you can find me Friday night at the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. Video dance party, karaoke jam. Yeah, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. Full bar, kitchens open, pool tables, pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try to make some money playing pool, I'll try to make money out of playing pool. Oh, I don't sing. It's better that you sing. I have magic microphones. Everybody sounds pretty good. So, yeah, you're the stars of the show. It's a little concert starring each and every one of you at the Rab. Friday night, 8 p.m. until 1 in the a.m. at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Be there tomorrow night. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Thursday, October 29th, 2020. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, Supreme Court allows extended absentee deadlines in 2 battlegrounds. The Supreme Court ruled Wednesday that 2 battleground states, Pennsylvania and North Carolina, can extend the deadline for accepting absentee ballots to several days after Election Day. The court turned down a request from Pennsylvania Republicans for a ruling before the Tuesday election on whether the state can continue counting mail-in ballots for another 3 days. In the North Carolina case, the court upheld a lower court ruling letting the state Board of Elections extend the deadline by 9 days, even though lawmakers had only called for an extra 3 days. The court didn't provide its reasoning for the unsigned orders. Newly confirmed Justice Amy Coney Barrett, who took the oath of office Tuesday, did not participate in the decisions. This is according to the New York Times. Number 2, stocks plummet as new coronavirus cases hit record. U.S. stocks nosedived on Wednesday as record daily increases in coronavirus cases fed concerns that renewed restrictions to curb infections could derail the global economic recovery. Public health officials confirmed more than 73,200 new U.S. cases on Tuesday, and according to an NBC tally, there were 80,662 new cases on Wednesday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average plunged by 3.4%, and the tech-heavy NASDAQ fell by 3.7%. The S&P 500 dropped 3.5%, leaving it more than 7% below its early September record close. Quote, a month ago, the narrative in the market was very much that the lockdown would be limited and targeted, and so would have a smaller impact on the economy, end quote, said Hugh Gimber, global market strategist at J.P. Morgan Asset Management. Quote, but now what we're seeing is broader concerns that lockdowns might be wider and have much wider impact, end quote. France announced a second national lockdown Wednesday as infections continue to surge in Europe. Stock futures rose early Thursday, struggling to rebound from the worst drop in months. This is according to the Wall Street Journal and CNBC. Number 3, Trump-Biden clash over coronavirus policy in late campaign push. President Trump and Democratic rival Joe Biden continued to make their final pitches to voters on Wednesday, with Election Day less than a week away and more than 73 million early and mail-in ballots already cast. Biden continued to argue that Trump has mishandled the coronavirus crisis. Quote, even if I win, it's going to take a lot of hard work to end this pandemic, end quote, Biden said in Delaware. Quote, I do promise this, we will start on day one doing the right things, end quote. Trump, ignoring Wednesday's stock plunge as coronavirus cases surged, said Biden would devastate the economy by locking it down. Quote, this election is a choice between a Trump super recovery and a Biden depression, end quote, Trump said in Arizona. The candidates on Thursday campaign in Florida, a crucial swing state. This is according to the Associated Press. Number 4, Jared Kushner boasts Trump took country back from doctors. President Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor, Jared Kushner, bragged 6 months ago that the president was cutting out scientists and, quote, getting the country back from doctors, end quote, after the spring coronavirus lockdown, according to a taped interview obtained by CNN. Kushner told legendary Washington Post journalist Bob Woodward that the country was moving beyond the, quote, panic, end quote, and, quote, pain, end quote, phases of the pandemic and entering, quote, the beginning of the comeback phase, end quote. Quote, Trump's now back in charge, end quote, he said. Quote, it's not the doctors, end quote. At the time, the United States was confirming about 30,000 new coronavirus cases per day, less than half the rate in the current surge. Kushner also criticized the Republican Party, calling it a, quote, collection of a bunch of tribes, end quote, but adding that Trump had done a, quote, full hostile takeover, end quote, when he won the presidential nomination. This is according to CNN. Number 5, Trump opens Tongas National Forest to logging. President Trump is opening Alaska's Tongas National Rainforest for logging, road building, and other development, according to a notice posted Wednesday in the Federal Register. The administration is stripping 2-decade-old protections for 9.3 million acres of old-growth red and yellow cedar, Sitka spruce, and western hemlock. Tongas is one of the world's largest intact temperate rainforests and serves as a sink for the continental U.S. carbon emissions. Quote, it's America's last climate sanctuary, end quote, said Dominic De La Sala, chief scientist with the Earth Island Institute's Wild Heritage Project. Alaska's Republicans have recently sought to exempt Tongas from those protections to develop southeastern Alaska. All 5 Alaska Native tribal nations withdraw from working as cooperating agencies, saying the process, quote, disregarded our input at every turn, end quote. This is according to the Washington Post. Number 6, anonymous Trump administration op-ed writer identified. Miles Taylor, former Department of Homeland Security Chief of Staff under President Trump, on Wednesday revealed that he was, quote, anonymous, end quote. The previously unnamed Trump administration official who wrote a 2018 New York Times op-ed describing an internal, quote, resistance, end quote, to Trump. Taylor had later anonymously published a book critical of Trump called A Warning. Quote, I saw Donald Trump prove he is a man without character, and his personal defects have resulted in leadership failures, so significant that they can be measured in lost American lives, end quote. Taylor wrote Wednesday. Taylor defended his decision to conceal his identity for so long and urged other Trump administration officials to speak out. Taylor previously publicly criticized Trump and endorsed Joe Biden, but denied in an August interview with CNN that he was, quote, anonymous, end quote. This is according to the New York Times and CNN. Number 7, judge rejects Texas governor's mask exception at polling places. U.S. District Judge Jason Pulliam on Wednesday ruled that everyone must wear a mask at Texas polling places to avoid creating, quote, a discriminatory burden on Black and Latino voters, end quote. Pulliam, who was appointed by President Trump, voided Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott's exception for polling places from a statewide face covering requirement. The Texas chapter of the NAACP and Mi Familia Vota sued, seeking more safety requirements during the election. The judge wrote that since the pandemic has disproportionately affected minorities, they would face a higher risk of sickness and death if they were forced to choose between, quote, voting and minimizing their risk, end quote, of exposure to people not wearing masks. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton promptly told Pulliam that the state would appeal, seeking to block his order. This is according to USA Today. Number 8, woman beheaded, 2 others killed in knife attack in France. An attacker with a knife beheaded 1 woman and killed 2 other people Thursday at a church in the French city of Nice, according to local police. Mayor Christian Estrosi described the attack at the city's Notre Dame church as terrorism, and France's anti-terrorist prosecutors department said it had been called in to investigate. Reuters reported that police armed with automatic weapons had blocked off the area around the church, which is on a major thoroughfare in Nice's main shopping area. The attack came as tensions were already high in France after a French middle school teacher, Samuel Paty, was beheaded earlier in the month in a Paris suburb. The suspect in that case is a young man of Chechen origin who allegedly was angry that Paty had shown students controversial cartoon depictions of the Prophet Muhammad during a civics lesson. This is according to Reuters and CNN. Number 9, White House says claim Trump ended pandemic was poorly worded. The White House on Wednesday tried to clarify a press release that listed ending the coronavirus pandemic as one of President Trump's accomplishments, even though daily new infections have surged to record highs. White House Strategic Communications Director Elisa Farah said that Tuesday's press release was, quote, poorly worded, end quote, and that ending the pandemic is a goal that has not yet been achieved. Quote, cases are still rising and we need the American public to remain vigilant, end quote, Farah said. Quote, this is the top priority of the president, defeating this virus and rebuilding our economy, end quote. But on the campaign trail, Trump is telling supporters that the country has turned the corner in the fight against COVID-19. Quote, COVID, COVID, COVID is the unified chant of the fake news lamestream media, end quote, Trump tweeted. Quote, they will talk about nothing else until November 4th, end quote, suggesting journalists are reporting on the pandemic to hurt his campaign. This is according to The Hill. Number 10, Hurricane Zeta hits Louisiana and heads northeast. Hurricane Zeta made landfall Wednesday south of New Orleans with top sustained winds of 110 miles per hour. The Category 2 storm brought punishing winds and, quote, life-threatening, end quote, storm surge. It continued northeast after coming ashore, sending its most damaging winds, rains, and storm surge to low-lying New Orleans. Hurricane warnings stretched from Morgan City, Louisiana to the Mississippi-Alabama border. The National Hurricane Center warned of a, quote, danger of life-threatening inundation from rising water moving inland, end quote, with potential storm surge of up to 11 feet in some areas as far east as Navarre, Florida. Zeta weakened to a tropical storm over Alabama early Thursday after killing at least one person as it crashed through Louisiana. This is according to the Washington Post and USA Today. That's 10 things you need to know today for Thursday, October 29th, 2020. Thank you so much for listening. I hope everybody out there is doing reasonably well. Drop me some comments. Let me know what you're up to. Give me some good news if you got some. This has been What Makes You Smarter. I'm Keys Dan, trying to make myself smarter, trying to keep up with current events. And while I'm at it, I got this broadcast software sitting in front of me. Might as well talk into a mic. And if you like the sound of my voice, take the journey with me. Do it. But don't make me the only source of news. Make sure that you follow up on all the footnotes that I leave at the bottom of every news item. I leave 10 things you need to know today. Yeah. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, see, this is where I have conversations with people and learn from people. Everybody's got a story. Everyone, even you have a story, and I want to hear it. So let's set up a time. Yeah, if you'd like to hear your story or tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. And the latest thing, the newest on the streaming content in Keys Dan's world is my gaming, online gaming, Keys Dan Gaming, streaming games. Yeah, I'm playing Fortnite. I'm playing Call of Duty. I'm playing Rocket League, Marvel's Avengers. So many different games. And if you have any that you want to suggest to me, I encourage you to do so. And if you want to watch me play games and probably fail miserably, you can follow me using the hashtag KeysDanGaming. I'm on Twitch and Facebook Gaming primarily. Sometimes I'm on YouTube, but those two, Twitch and Facebook Gaming. Hashtag KeysDanGaming. That's it for me. It's KeysDan, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace.